Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more waterfowl patterning, and today we've got a shell and choke combo that we haven't tried and we haven't tested both of them on the channel in a good long while now, so I'm definitely curious to see what it can do because this combo might work out or it might not. These shells have been a little finicky so far and haven't really impressed me, but who knows, this could be the combo that they really like. But as for the shells we've got today, I brought out some of the Federal Black Cloud steel waterfowl shells. They are a 12 gauge 3-inch 1¼ ounce payload of steel 2s moving about 1450 feet per second, and these do have the flight control flex wad in them, which I am not a big fan of. I don't know that I've ever seen anything decent or halfway impressive from that wad. I much prefer the standard flight control wad like they use in the buckshot loads, but who knows, this combo we've got today might be the perfect combo for these. We're just gonna have to try it and see. But as for the setup we're gonna run them through, I brought out the Remington 870 special purpose. This one has a 24-inch barrel on it, and for the choke I threw in the Avian-X Crusher Light Modified. We've tested this choke a few times on the channel before with some decent results, but I think that's probably going to be one of the keys to get these to perform well, is if those black clouds actually like this choke or not. It does have some small ports on it, and it does have Avian-X's straight rifling on the inside as well, so it may work out or it may mess with those flight control flex wads and throw us all over the place. I really don't know, especially considering we've tried those black clouds through everything from almost no constriction to tight constriction, ported, non-ported. Doesn't really matter, so we'll see what this is able to do. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the target set up at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see if the black clouds want to give us a halfway decent pattern through the 870 with the Avian-X Light Mod today. I don't have the highest of hopes coming into it, but you never know until you try it, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1358 through the chrono. The box claim is 1450, so we are just shy of 100 feet per second under that box claim, but that's really no surprise either. We have a 24-inch barrel, and there's a good chance they ran it through a 28 or a 30 to get that claim, but who knows, maybe this little bit lower velocity might have given us a little better shot at getting a good pattern out of these. I don't know yet, but let's head down to our target and see what we got. Alright, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And I gotta say, definitely some interesting results here. I have no idea why we patterned so far to the right. I felt very confident in that shot, and I know where that 870 generally hits. Maybe it's just that particular shell and choke combo shoots to the right. I have no idea. But we do still have a dead duck here. There are 3 or 4 right through the body that would have gotten the job done. And if he would have been a little bit farther forward or behind, he still would have been a dead duck. So it is clearly a good enough pattern out to 40 yards to get the job done, but the pattern that we do see here is pretty splotchy and a little bit all over the place. If we had it centered up a little bit better, there's a number of voids in here that we would run into as well. There's one right to the right of that duck target there, and another good one right down here below it, with a good little hot patch or two of shot right across here in the middle of your screen. So it's definitely not a super even spread of pellets. Even over here towards the duck paper, it's kind of blotchy as well. We threw a number of them all the way over here off the left edge of the entire target size paper as well, so it's definitely not the most even spread of pellets. Now, since we were off to the right, I will go ahead and throw up a 10-inch circle roughly in the core so you guys can see what it looks like, because it's definitely not the most even spread either. So if it was centered up a little bit better, I guess it would probably look a little bit better on the paper, but I'm still not super impressed with that. At least it's not very even, and considering that these shells aren't the cheapest either compared to all the rest of the steel loads that are on the same exact store shelf, we've seen much better, more consistent patterns from shells that perform the same consistency through multiple different chokes. So although this is absolutely a good enough waterfowl hunting pattern out to 40 yards to get the job done, I wouldn't call it anything super impressive either. It's okay. I think we've seen worse from these shells before, so this is not the worst performing combo with them, but I don't know that I would necessarily call it anything impressive either. It's mainly just how splotchy it is. Throwing pellets all the way over there off the left when we were clearly a touch to the right means that we have flyers way over here off the right of the target as well. So if it was a little more consistent or even, I would be a little bit happier with it, but I don't think that's too surprising for these shells. That's honestly about what I expected to see there. Good enough, but not great. And here is that Flight Control Flex Wad. You can see it's got the little cuts on the side there compared to the big flaps the other version has of the Flight Control Wad. This one looks very much normal though, nothing out of the ordinary. You can kind of see those faint stripes down the side of the wad right there from the straight rifling. Maybe you can see them a little bit better on this tail pedal right over here. So it definitely was flying straight as it exited the barrel. It wasn't spinning or anything. Now we did have one little snag up right here on the tip that you can kind of see. I don't know if that was necessarily from the straight rifling in that choke or not. Could have just been where it hit the ground. But there's nothing stuck down in there and there's no other major damage or anything. So this wad looks like it should have performed very much like it's supposed to. But once again, I don't really prefer these wads. I think the regular Flight Control wads are better, especially since we've tried them through just about every combo of choke I have at this point. Either way, nothing that looks out of the ordinary as far as the wad goes, that's for sure. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? It's okay, but it's definitely a little bit patchy. It's unfortunate that we hit so far to the right there, but I still think we can see a decent amount of our pattern. Normally, I probably would have just taken a second shot. However, I'm kind of running out of these duck targets right now, so we got to use what we've got sometimes. Either way, we can still see that it's definitely not anything super impressive. Again, it would be good enough to get the job done out to 40 yards. The problem is, these aren't the cheapest shell on the shelf. And you can buy cheaper shells that do better than that. So I really just don't think the Federal Black Clouds are worth the price or the hype of them or anything like that, whatever you want to call it. If you can get a cheap steel load that performs decent, gives you a nice even pattern at the distance that you want to hunt with, then just go with that. You don't need the fancy Black Cloud shells with the Flight Control wads or anything like that. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Or were you surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of the Federal Black Cloud shells or an Avian-X Crusher Light Mod choke? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combo that you would hunt with? Or would you prefer to see a little bit tighter of a pattern, a little more open, a little more even of a pattern? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see when it comes to waterfowl stuff? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.